Good morning. Today we'll continue with anti-cancer drugs part 2. Yesterday we learned about cancer chemotherapy drugs which are involved. Before that we understood what are the lines of treatment of cancer: surgical excision, irradiation, chemotherapy and immunotherapy. In chemotherapy we have cytotoxic drugs, targeted drugs, hormonal drugs. In cytotoxic drugs, first two groups we learned, that is alkylating agents and platinum based compounds. Today we'll learn about the other anti-cytotoxic drugs used in cancer chemotherapy. In the next class we'll learn about targeted and hormone based drugs used in cancer chemotherapy. We also understood the general toxicities of cytotoxic drugs. We also understood drugs which act on dividing cells and resting cells also. So cytotoxic drugs, alkylating agents and platinum based compounds act both on dividing and resting cells. Coming to the next category, that is antimetabolites. These act especially on actively dividing cells. So let's look into antimetabolites. Antimetabolites are usually analogs of something used up in the DNA synthesis, or which inhibits purine or pyrimidine synthesis or folic acid synthesis. So we have three categories here. One, folic acid synthesis inhibitors is going to be methotrexate, pyrimidine, 5-fluorouracil, purine, 6-mercaptopurine, thioguanine, azothioprine, fludarabine. Let's look into the first one, methotrexate. Methotrexate inhibits DHFRA, is similar to that of sulfonamides. It is going to inhibit conversion of dihydrofolic acid to tetrahydrofolic acid. All of us know tetrahydrofolic acid is involved in the process of purine synthesis. If there is no purine, there is no DNA replication, hence the cell is not able to divide. This methotrexate kills the cell in the S phase. Not only that, it also inhibits thymidine synthase, and it has more affinity for largely dividing cells. So let's look into methotrexate. It inhibits synthesis of folic acid, that is tetrahydrofolic acid, formation of tetrahydrofolic acid by inhibiting the enzyme DHFRA-ACE. It also inhibits thymidine synthase, thus decreasing the purine synthesis. Next, what are the toxicities of methotrexate? Methotrexate acts on dividing cells. So the toxicity is mostly going to be on the exclusively dividing cells like the bone marrow, gastrointestinal epithelium, hair follicles, and it is teratogenic. So on the bone marrow, it causes myelosuppression, megaloblastic anemia, pancytopenia. On GI epithelium, mucosa, it causes mucositis, intestinal ulcers, diarrhea, hair follicle, alopecia resulting in hair loss, dermatitis, hepatic fibrosis and cirrhosis. It's also teratogenic. So all of us know that methotrexate are going to be given IM or IV, but if you want to reduce the toxicity of methotrexate so that it doesn't affect the normal cells which are there, it has to affect only the cancer cells. But that's not going to happen. The normal cells are also going to be affected. So how can you rescue these normal cells? To rescue these normal cells, you can give folic acid, tetrahydrofolic acid, but that is unstable. So we give another preparation called as folinic acid or citroorium factor, which is going to be given 8 to 24 hours after giving methotrexate. This is also called as folinic acid rescue. Citrovium factor, folinic acid rescue. So a common question comes, why methotrexate is given along with folinic acid? It's given 8 to 24 hours so that we are able to save the fastly dividing cells, normal fastly dividing cells. Methotrexate can also be given orally. It is largely excreted unchanged in the urine. Where and all are we going to use methotrexate? It is used in choriocarcinoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, breast, bladder, head and neck cancers. It is also used as an immunosuppressant, disease-modifying agent, in rheumatoid arthritis and psoriasis. Let's look into the next compound, that is purine analogues. So purine analogues, we have 6 mercaptopurine. We have 6 mercaptopurine, 6 thioguanine, azothioprine and fludrobenes. So we'll just look into this. What are these going to do? They are going to inhibit conversion of IMP to adenine or guanine nucleotides. So these are going to inhibit de novo purine synthesis. So what is IMP? How is it going to be inhibited? All of us know synthesis of purines involves IMP, which is further converted into formation of ADP, adenine, guanine. This IMP is inhibited. Formation of IMP is going to be inhibited by 6 mercaptopurine. Where are these used? 6 mercaptopurine, 6 thioguanine. It's used in acute childhood leukemias, choriocarcinomas and some solid tumors. There's one common adverse effect which azothioprine can produce. That is going to be if a patient has SGPRT deficiency, the enzyme involved in the metabolism, if there is deficiency, there is going to be increased toxicity of azothioprine. Just go back to pharmacogenetics in the chapter of pharmacodynamics and go through it. SGPRT is involved in the metabolism of azothioprine. If it is abnormal, the levels of azothioprine tend to increase. What are the adverse effects of azothioprine? Azothioprine causes bone marrow depression, nausea, vomiting, reversible jaundice, hyperuricemia can be seen. Hyperuricemia is a very common feature because the cells are going to be killed and there's going to be a lot of purine, which there's going to be a lot of purine which is going to be metabolized to produce uric acid. So to reduce this, you can use allopurinol, or this is going to result in gout. Where do we use azothioprine? Azothioprine is used most commonly as an immunosuppressant, especially cell-mediated immunosuppression in rheumatoid arthritis, ulcerative colitis and organ transplant. The other drug, purine antagonist, which is used is fludrobeene. Fludrobeene, which is an analog of the antiviral drug vidarabine. This inhibits DNA polymerase and ribonucleotide reductase, and it also gets incorporated into the DNA. In place of purines, this is going to get into the DNA structure. It is going to activate apoptosis. There is going to be DNA damage, and which will activate apoptosis. Where are we going to use this? In CLL, Hodgkin's lymphoma. What are the adverse effects? Common adverse effects like vomiting, nausea, fever, chills are going to be there. Because this is more commonly used as a cell-mediated suppressive agent for cell-mediated immunity, they are going to cause opportunistic infections. Coming to the next, pyrimidine antagonist. In that we have 5-fluorouracil, which is an analog of uracil. In places of uracil, instead of uracil, this is going to go and bind. When it binds, it is going to inhibit DNA synthesis and RNA synthesis. RNA synthesis, converted into, initially 5-fluorouracil is converted into fluorodeoxyuridine monophosphate, which also irreversibly inhibits thymidylate synthase, thus inhibiting DNA synthesis. It also inhibits RNA synthesis. So if you look into this, cytosine deaminase. This instead of cytosine, 5-fluorouracil gets into that and gets incorporated into the RNA, thus inhibiting protein synthesis. Or in the DNA, it inhibits thymidine synthase, which inhibits DNA synthesis. What are the adverse effects? It causes, mostly the adverse effects are GI mediated, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, myelotoxicity, that is bone marrow toxicity, peripheral neuropathy. Here you can be given along with leucovorin or methyl THFA. Both of them, if you are going to be giving like methotrexate along with this, you will have to put the patient on leucovorin and methyl tetrahydrofolic acid. Where do we use it? We use it in solid tumors like colon, rectum, urinary bladder, liver and pancreas. We have one more, cytarabine, that is cytosine analog, which gets incorporated into the DNA, hence inhibits DNA synthesis. This mainly acts in the S phase, but it is not active against solid tumors. Where do we use cytarabine? We use it in acute myeloblastic leukemia and lymphoblastic leukemia. What are the adverse effects? Bone marrow suppression, mucositis and diarrhea. Gemcitabine is a newer analog of cytarabine, a much well tolerated drug. Till now, what are the compounds we learned? We learned about alkylating agents, we learned about platinum-based compounds, anti-metabolites, those which act on folic acid, purine and pyrimidines. Now let's try to learn about those which are natural products. In that, we have two groups, vinca alkaloids and taxanes. What are the vinca alkaloids? Vinblastine, vinorabine and vincristine. We have taxanes, paclitaxel and doxycycline. So let's look into vinca alkaloids. Vinca alkaloids are derived from periwinkle plant. What is the role of this? This inhibits tubulin. This binds to tubulin and inhibits its polymerization. What is tubulin? Tubulin is a microfilament which is involved in cell division. All of us know once the chromosomes are divided, they move away. They divide the cytoplasm and the chromosomes move away, forming two cells. For this, you need tubulin formation, microtubule formation. Each one of this is a tubulin. When the chromosomes have to move apart, this has to polymerize and form tube-like structures. This is inhibited by vincristine. So these bind to tubulin and prevent polymerization, thus causing disruption of the mitotic spindle. So chromosomes are going to fail to move apart. These are cell cycle specific. They act in the mitotic phase. Where are we going to be using it? We predominantly use it in lymphoblastic leukemia, acute myeloid leukemia, Hodgkin's, Wilms tumor and Ewing's sarcoma. What are the toxicities associated with this? We have peripheral neuropathy, alopecia, ataxias, autonomic dysfunction, seizures. Very rarely it can also cause SIADH, inappropriate secretion of antidiuretic hormone. Vinblastine is one more drug belonging to the same group, which is primarily used for Hodgkin's, Kaposi sarcoma, common in HIV patients, neuroblastomas, breast and testicular carcinomas. Vinorabine is used in non-small cell lung carcinoma, in advanced breast and ovarian cancers. So we learned about natural products. One among them was vinca alkaloids. These inhibits polymerization, so tubulins are not formed. What are these? The next compounds, taxanes. Taxanes, we have two drugs, paclitaxel and doxycycline. how this paclitaxel functions. Paclitaxel, once the tubulin is formed, once the cell is divided and the chromosomes move apart, it has to again break down. This breakdown or depolymerization of these tubulins are inhibited by paclitaxel. So what is the function of paclitaxel? Paclitaxel binds to beta-tubulin and enhances polymerization. So it remains in the polymerized state, thus inhibiting the depolymerization of microtubules. So abnormal bundles will be there in the cell. Hence the cell will not be able to move apart completely. Where do we use paclitaxel? In ovarian and breast carcinomas. Toxicities can cause bone marrow depression, shock and glow neuropathy, nausea, vomiting, myalgia, edema. Very rarely it can even cause anaphylactoid reactions. So we learnt about natural products. Next we'll go to the next group, that is topoisomerase inhibitors. So we learnt about natural products. Now we'll talk about topoisomerase 1 and topoisomerase 2 inhibitors. What are topoisomerase 1 inhibitors? We have topotecan, irinotecan, whereas topoisomerase 2 inhibitors are etoposide. So let's look into these compounds. So what is the role of topoisomerase 1 inhibitors? That is irinotecan and topotecan. How do these function? All of us know the cell, during the cell division, DNA, once if it has to replicate, it is going to cause, just a moment, when the cell has to replicate, it is going to produce positive supercoils. Positive supercoils are reduced by producing a NIC, which is produced by type 1 DNA, type 1 topoisomerase. This is inhibited by topotecan. So nicking of the DNA is inhibited by topoisomerase 1 inhibitors like topotecan. So let's look into topotecan and irinotecan. These inhibit topoisomerase 1. How do these inhibit? They inhibit the resealing. They inhibit by making break in the strands. So what happens? They act in the S phase and resealing is prevented. What are the toxicities? It causes bone marrow depression, nausea, vomiting. Uses? They are going to be used in metastatic carcinoma of ovary, small cell carcinoma of lung, colorectal carcinomas. Topoisomerase 2. What happens in topoisomerase 2? Here in topoisomerase 1, we understood it is nicking. Nicking is what is inhibited. Whereas in topoisomerase 2, it is going to be resealing, which is going to be affected. What is affected in type 1? It is going to be nicking. Whereas in type 2, it is going to be resealing, which is going to be affected. So what are the drugs which are going to inhibit topoisomerase 2? Podophyllitoxins, which is derived from a plant glycoside, etoposide. These are going to inhibit topoisomerase 2. What happens if it is arrested? The cell cycle is inhibited in phase G2 phase. So resealing of the DNA strand is prevented. Nicking is prevented by topoisomerase 1 inhibitors. Resealing is going to be inhibited by topoisomerase 2 inhibitors. Where do we use etoposide? Testicular tumors, lung carcinoma, Hodgkin's carcinoma, bladder and stomach. So we finished antimetabolites, natural products, topoisomerase 2, topoisomerase 1. We have cytotoxic antibiotics which can be used like dactinomycin, daunorubicin, doxorubicin, bleomycin, hydroxyurea. We'll just look into few of this. How do these function? These function by various methods. Cytotoxic antibiotics can inhibit or produce cross strands between the DNA, thus interfering with DNA synthesis, and they can also break the DNA strands. They can also inhibit topoisomerase 2. What is the role of topoisomerase 2? It inhibits resealing of DNA. It can also generate free radicals which can break DNA. So, coming to the first compound, actinomycin D. Actinomycin D is used in, or also called as dactinomycin, is used in Wilms tumor, childhood tumor, rhabdomyosarcoma, methotrexate resistant choriocarcinoma, Ewing sarcoma, and metastatic testicular carcinoma. It can cause single strand breaks in the DNA and also prevents RNA transcription. The next compound is daunorubicin or anthracycline antibiotics which have anti-tumor property. These are used in acute myeloid and lymphoblastic leukemia. These also produce break in the strands and they intercalate between the DNA strands and block DNA and RNA synthesis. They can also activate topoisomerase 2 and produce breaks in the DNA. Where do we use it? We use it in many solid tumor carcinomas. So, this is how doxorubicin is going to function. They are going to produce superoxide ion particles, hydrogen peroxides, which are going to produce break in the strands. What are the adverse effects? It's highly cardiotoxic and it can also cause other changes like bone marrow depression, alopecia, vomiting, local tissue damage with extravasation and reddish color urine. The other drugs which are used are epiribosine, which is a newer, anthracycline, which is used in breast carcinoma. Methotrexate is a anthracycline. It has lower cardiotoxicity. Bleomycin is one of the drugs which are going to be used effectively in testicular tumors, squamous cell carcinomas. These are glycopeptide antibiotics having anti-tumor activity. How is this going to function? This is going to produce superoxide ions by chelating copper and iron. This is going to intercalate between the DNA strands and break the DNA and also inhibits its repair. What is the importance of bleomycin? Bleomycin is not only used in solid tumors, it's also used in malignant pleural effusion. It can be given intrapleural or intraperitoneal injection. What are the common adverse effects? It's known to cause pulmonary fibrosis by inhibiting pneumocytes type 2. It will cause pulmonary fibrosis, producing interstitial lung diseases. Mitomycin C, it is highly toxic. It's usually combined with 5-fluorouracil and it is used in bladder tumors. Hydroxyurea is one more compound which is used in chronic myeloid leukemia, psoriasis, polycythemia vera and certain solid tumors. This is also a radiosensitizer. There is one enzyme which is also used, that is L-asparginase. What is the role of this? L-asparginase degrades L-aspargine to L-aspartic acid. So what happens? These cancer cells, they don't have this enzyme asparginase, so they are not able to use aspargine. Because they are not able to use aspargine, they tend to die. So the leukemia cells can't produce L-aspargine, so they are going to die. So we can give L-asparginase, but the problem is this is a protein. So hence what we do is we pegylate it. We add a compound called polyethylene glycol. It is conjugated with and it is given. So where do we use it? We use it in acute lymphoblastic leukemias. So what are the compounds we learned? We learned about alkylating agents, we learned about platinum-based compounds, we learned about antimetabolites, which are going to inhibit synthesis of folic acid, purine or pyrimidine analogs. We learned about natural products like vinca alkaloids, which are going to inhibit tubulin formation, taxanes, which are going to inhibit tubulin depolymerization. Topoisomerase 1 and topoisomerase 2. Topoisomerase 1 is going to inhibit the kinking to reduce the positive supercoils. Topoisomerase 2 is going to inhibit the resealing. Antibiotics, basically they produce the peroxide ions which are going to damage the DNA, and also they prevent the repair of DNA. The next group of anti-cancer drugs are targeted drugs and hormonal drugs. We'll talk about this in the next class. Thank you.